Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines we have for you this morning here. We're going to talk about mind control. Yes, mind control. We're going to hear from a presidential candidate who's not only going to prove it to you that it's a very real thing, he's going to show you how they do it too. We're also going to talk about the price of XRP that's on the move, ladies and gentlemen. Could that breakout of XRP be right on top of us right now? We're going to take a look at that and so much more. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, $1.72 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is up 1.3%, and it is the talk of today, in fact. And I think you're going to love what this is. Bitcoin, 43,700 plus. Now, right now, we're up 0.3 on the 24-hour, and we're up 12.9 on the 7-day. Ethereum, 2353 and change. It's off by 0.6 in the 24-hour, but up by 12% on the 7-day. Now, let's exclude Tether because we know it's just a stable coin. We're wondering how the government feels about it. We'll find out, right? Does it get unwound? Is it slap on the wrist? Tuck it underneath prudential regulation? We'll see. But I know one thing. We don't have a crypto spring until we understand exactly where that is. Now, keep that in mind because today's video is going to be quite different than what we normally do, and I'm excited about it. XRP currently right now is 68 cents. Out for a jog this morning, up 4.7% on the 24-hour here now, and up 11.4 on the 7-day. Now, with that being said, the range of price very quickly here. Let's get this page refreshed. I want the current numbers here. So 0.6479 on the bottom range and 0.6993, just under 70 cents just a short time ago. That's where we are, sitting at 68 cents, but almost touched 70 cents not long ago here. So that's what we got to pay attention to today. And I want to go through some of these things that I think set the conversation up for today. Now, the approval of the first gold ETF led to a 364% increase. There's a narrative that Bitcoin is the digital gold. So the comparison here is, once Bitcoin spot ETF get approved and launched in the US, there could be a flood of institutional money in the billions. And this is accurate. Should it get approved, there'd be no reason to think that something like this wouldn't be taking of effect over time. Now, this is not financial advice. This is a conversation where we're sharing my digital perspectives and others. Everyone has to make their own decisions as they move through. But today is one of these days where I think we should do this collective conversation where we challenge each other to look at our strategies. What is in place? Because I'm going to talk about something today that is, it is not as easy to do when you're in the middle of it, and we'll get there. So let's start right here. Shout out to David Schwartz for this. And I think this is, let me read this. He says, as many of you know, I sold 40,000 ETH at about $1 to put solar panels on a house I no longer own. That ETH was worth over $100 million shortly after. My father, ironically, did almost the same thing. After my older siblings moved out, my parents didn't need the enormous house we were living in, but it needed quite a bit of fixing up to sell. So my father sunk a lot of money into gutting and redoing the house. But during the months it took to do that, as renovation costs escalated, the real estate market crashed. He took a huge loss on the deal. But guess how he funded the renovation and purchase of a new house while the old one was renovated? He sold his Apple stock. The stock went up about 5 times over that same time period. Like father, like son, I guess. He said, here's a picture of my dad from the 1950s when he was a geek. I miss him every day. And that's very nice of him to share that with all of us. But what a great story, because it causes for reflection in a time like this. Someone says here, we all know you're a billionaire, bro, so all good. David says, I am not. But the funny thing is that if I had really tried to be, I probably would be now. I succeeded to exact extent I was really trying to succeed. There might be a lesson in there. And you know what? There is. There's a few books that have really impacted my life quite profoundly. And one of them is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. If you have not read it, I encourage you to read it over and over again until everyone around you thinks you're weird. And then your life will change in a manner so beautiful you won't believe what will happen. But aside from that, inside that book, it says something very similar, and I'll paraphrase. Ask the world or the universe for a penny and you'll have no more. It even stems back to what Henry Ford had said. Believe you can't and you'll be right. Believe you can and you'll still be right. This is why no one has ever saved their way to fortune. And anyone who has done it at the expense of a life lived to be able to do it. Because at the end of the day, it's what you're targeting for yourself as the goal, as David has said. If I had set that goal, I probably would have succeeded. But he made it exactly to the extent that he was trying to succeed, and there is a lesson in that. I believe it was Tony Robbins that said there was a homeless guy or a panderer that came up to him and asked him for like 50 cents or $1. And he told him exactly what I shared with you. Ask the universe and it shall provide, but it will give you no more. So if you're going to dare to dream in this world, you're going to dare to set a goal. I encourage everybody as we have this conversation to set a goal so big that you would never possibly give up on it, because it's the vision is so grand for yourself. Why would you ever give up on yourself having it? And besides that, it allows you to have the permission to go get it, because it's such a great dream. Great goal, right? All right, well, let's talk about this now, because the reality really quickly here is XRP is likely to become the 4th largest cryptocurrency in the market soon. How soon? Let's go back to it. BNB's market cap is $37.2 billion. And what do we see here? XRP, $36.9 billion plus. Knocking on the door, ladies and gentlemen, and it was just over $37 billion moments ago. So it is knocking on the door. Now let's take a look at where we are in the market. Now we know Bitcoin's current price, $43,862.35. But from the all-time high of $69,044.77, it's still off by 36.53% in the last 2 years. Now, again, none of this is financial advice. I'm just sharing with you some of my digital perspectives about my macro view of some of the things I have exposure to. So from the previous high, I'm sitting 36.5% away from that currently right now today with the exposure that I have. And I'm cool with that. Now, you have to ask yourself, how much more than the high, if we return back to the high, will we see? Therein lies the real question, and we're going to get into that side of things in a minute. Right now, we're looking at current conditions based from the all-time high. Ethereum is currently $2,359.09. It sits from the all-time high of $4,878.26. It is off by 51.69% at the current moment, and no one's suggesting that Ethereum can't go to $8, $12, or $40,000. I don't know, but I know one thing. I believe that there's headroom for myself, so I have exposure to that as well. Now, looking at this, XRP, as you can imagine, is sitting at 68 cents currently. The all-time high was actually 384, and it says 340 here. We won't hold it against CoinGecko, but it's off by more than 80% in reality of the 384 from almost 6 years ago. How about that one? Now, I've ridden 2 bull runs with XRP and have not taken any profits. So one of the reasons I'm looking at this today, because we know that a lot of the technical analysts have suggested we are very near some kind of breakout moment for XRP, should it take place. Now, we don't know when it'll be, but as a thought exercise, it's good that we start looking at the headroom between the all-time highs and where we currently are. I love that there's a 80+% headroom from the all-time high for me in my current XRP position. Now, let's use XRP as the example for myself in this conversation. If we get back to the all-time high, or even $1.50, some people suggest, or $5, what is the mark in which us as individuals will say we're going to take some profit for ourselves? What is the work that's been done for ourselves as individuals that allows us to say, maybe I don't need to take profit. Maybe I've got enough positions in other assets that I could take profits in those areas and let my XRP run, because ultimately the holy grail would be automated market makers where you don't have to sell your assets, but in fact, be able to make money off of them by delegating them to a liquidity pool in the automated market maker and then earning returns from fees. So we all know what the holy grail is one day we don't have to sell it, we can keep it, continue to earn on it. But that day's not here yet. So some of us have a plan to, just like in the stock market world, you go up a certain amount, you want to take a certain percentage. What is that number? I'll tell you this, because I've sat through 2 bull runs in the 6 + 7 years I've been here now, 2017, so it's 6+ years. So when I think about seeing those things, I know that this time around, I, for myself, have a position that I can take for myself and my family that will allow me to experience profit and gain in this sector of digital assets and not harm my long-term position, which I intend to hopefully never have to sell. Now, that's setting yourself up to a place where you're like, look, I'm in a win-win, right? At least when it comes to XRP. I've worked hard enough to set up that position. That's what I plan on doing. I have a certain amount. What's my number? Is it going to be $5? Is it going to be $1.50? Is it going to be $10? Is it going to be $15, $20, $25? The reason I ask these different price points, because look, I've watched it go to $3.84. I watched the portfolio go up and say to yourself, man, now there's a number that could really impact my life. Maybe not change it forever at the time, but could impact my life. And listen, I've experienced, windfalls in investing before where, I invested in something and then it ended up doing really well and then experienced that impact on my life. It felt very good. In fact, it was that kind of moment that told me investing is where I need to be for the rest of my life, right? Which is one of the reasons I'm here as well. So when looking at these things, it's not just about the spread difference of 79, 80+% from the all-time high. It's also about where I believe the asset will go in the long term as well. And I don't want to eliminate my ability to have great exposure to that possibility. But that's me, right? That's not everybody. I know some people be like, listen, if Stellar, we're looking at now, is off by 84%, it's currently 13 cents, its high was 87 cents. They may say, listen, that thing goes to 80 cents. I'm taking profits of everything I got in that position, and if it dips back after the all-time high, I'll buy back in again, right? Nothing wrong with that. People have many different approaches to how they're going to play this market. Some people may say, I'm going to do the 20-20-20, right? So where they break their portfolio up into 5 different segments of 20%. And at this particular price, I'm taking 20%. And at this particular price, I'll take another 20%, and so on, and so on, and so on. So there's many different approaches to all of this. Hedera is another one I have exposure to here. Now, it's currently sitting at 7 cents. It's off by more than 86% from its all-time high of 56 cents. Now, these positions for these tokens for me, allow me flexibility to play around in my portfolio because I have these positions where I'm more focused and centric on XRP for myself, right? That I'd feel more comfortable, even though I believe in technology like this and what they're going to do in the future, I still feel better having other positions that I can play around with more. Look at VeChain, for instance, and I'm showing you things that I've got exposure to somewhere along the line. Currently at 2 cents. It's off by more than 90%, 90.15% from its all-time high of 28 cents. These are things to think about. And all you have to do is to go in and look at the overview once you click on the actual token and scroll down and look at where it is. And we're just talking about the gap between the current price and its all-time high. That's all we're talking about here, right? It doesn't mean that it won't crush its all-time high and double it or triple or quadruple. Who knows? That's why we're looking at these things today. XDC is another one I've got exposure to. And all of these assets, I believe, have use case utility at some level. And that's why I have exposure to most of these in the portfolio, minus the Bitcoin that you see in here as well, which I believe soon will end up becoming a digital retail investment product if the spot Bitcoin ETFs are approved broadly. XDC, 5 cents right now, off by 71.69%. All-time high was 19 cents. Run the scenario. What would you do if it hit 20 or 25 cents? Are you happy enough with your position to take profits? And if so, what would you do? 5%, 10%, 20, 50, 100%? Wait for a retrace? What would you do? These are rhetorical. I don't need to know them. You need to know where you're at. Because as I said, there's nothing worse than going through this market, watching your portfolio actually explode. We've all built a discipline for years now to continue to buy while the market is down. Congratulations. Let me slow clap that. But what's your plan? What's your plan when things start to move? Remember what Mike Tyson said, everybody got a plan until they get hit in the mouth. Well, when you're watching your portfolio smash new highs, and your portfolio starts to double, triple, and so on, you're going to feel like somebody's bonked you over the head with a happy punch, right? And emotionally, you're going to be extremely wound up. And remember, emotions are no place for investing. That's why you have to have a plan and you have to have some positions in place to be able to protect yourself and take profits. Now, look at this. Look at Flare price. I currently stake my Flare. Flare's 1 cent. It's off from its all-time high of 90.9% of 15 cents. It's off by more than 90%. Now, I try to imagine what the returns would be when it goes back to that all-time high of 15 cent. What would the return be in my staked or delegated Flare? I mean, think of it for a moment. The returns, are just constantly rolling over. What about Songbird? Songbird's currently 1 cent. It's had a high of 71 cents. It's off by 98.51% right now. Again, these are just the all-time highs we're looking at. We're not even really considering the idea of those all-time highs being crushed. And these last two I picked specifically because you could delegate these assets and earn tokens, right? Which, by the way, make sure that you're claiming that properly with your accountant, right? Do the proper thing. Don't try to dodge it. But look, I'm doing this because we don't know if the market's taking off right now. It's certainly moving in the right direction. But I thought that this would be a great thought exercise for all of us to sit down, take a look at what's in your portfolio, give or take. Start asking yourself, what do you do when your portfolio begins to double, triple, or what have you? And you ask yourself, is it smart for me to take some profits? Then go back to David Schwartz's story and think about his story. You have to weigh it out. He took profits, did things he wanted to do. His father took profits, did things they wanted to do. But at the same time, they also bared the risk. And then next thing you know, the market moved up even more. And then they were out those gains. but they did the things in the moment that they needed to do. So you have to make sure emotionally, mentally, you're prepared, and you're prepared to take that swing when you're ready. And when you do, there's no regrets. You did what you did, you got it, and then you move on to the next step of your plan. And that's what I hope that you do. And I hope this has helped everybody in some way. Now, listen, the real conversation's getting ready to go on in here. As I said, presidential candidates going to break down MK Ultra, mind control, ladies and gentlemen. This is very real, and it should disturb in each and every one of you as citizens of this country. Not only is he going to prove to you that it's happened, which I've known for years, and I'm sure a lot of you have as well, but he's going to show you exactly how the tactics of what they do to get done what they want and who's really running this country from behind the scenes and pulling the puppet strings. And you won't believe it. He is going to put no vagueness on it. He is going to explain it directly to you. We're talking about Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and you need to hear exactly every word he's going to say. Make sure you go to digperspectives.com and click the Freedom Zone, or go right underneath any of the videos and click the link to the Freedom Zone on Dig Perspectives and join us. It is almost next to nothing, and the level of conversation and material we're touching on in there is awakening a lot of people, and I encourage you to join us. It is remarkable. By the way, if you're looking for a discount to XRP Las Vegas 2024, you're going to want to be a part of this group too, because you'll be able to get that discount only inside of there. So, not financial advice from me or anyone else. I'll catch all of you on the next one.